Hello everyone and welcome to TensorFlow User Group Chandigarh YouTube channel. Here we talk about the latest techs, we'll talk about all the codes, datasets and what is new in the technology and TensorFlow world. But before, let's see what we do at TensorFlow User Group Chandigarh. We are a group of TensorFlow user group based in Chandigarh, joining people from tech communities as well as AI enthusiasts with leading professionals, researchers, users, and writers in and around India. We focus on technologies that help to solve real world problems and make people's lives easier. So basically, we tend to use and serve the purpose of solving daily life problems and find solutions to them. And what do we provide? So we provide you a platform to represent your findings, your research, your works, your projects with AI community, and experience here is no bar. So you might be a professional with 5 to 7 or 10 years of experience, or you might be just a school child or a student who is willing to share his works with the AI community. We provide mentorship and project assistance by experienced people in the job and demos and hands-on in TensorFlow and the products of the leading technologies. We are a community building with a like, so we do shake hands with other communities like GDGs and other TFUGs to promote technology and learn and research AI. We have GitHub repositories where you can explore all our codes, and we also shake hands with Kaggle and more platforms so you can learn better for the AI community. You can always connect with us on our Twitter, Meetup, Mail, and YouTube communities where you can chat with us and get mentorship or maybe share your works with us. We'll be happy to assist you. So, that being said, let's get started with the session for today that is on Kaggle. So, let's head to Kaggle and explore more. Starting off with Kaggle. I know when we talk about Kaggle, it's all about dataset and great piece of great art. You get a lot of code, you get a lot of dataset, and you get to compete with people from all around the world. For those of you who are really new to Kaggle, let's just go ahead and take a minute to explore it. So, as you can see on my home screen is the Kaggle.com website. So when you go to Kaggle.com, you sign up, you have a dashboard like this where you can choose what you want to focus today. So maybe you want to compete on Kaggle, or maybe you want to learn something and you can take a short course. Also, you are very much inspired to add some new data set to the Kaggle community, or maybe you just want to take data set from one of the Kagglers and code your solution to it. So, on the website of Kaggle, you have various options. You can go to competitions and look for different competitions that are running or that were running sometime before. You can also go for datasets and see what new datasets have been added. And I know you'll be blown. The number of datasets available and that to open source that you can work with, and also the datasets that are from the current situation. Say we had the COVID dataset, we have the influential market dataset, we have the flights dataset and whatnot. Then for the code, you can just go ahead and you can find the best code notebooks ever written. You can take inspiration or maybe you can inspire others. For the discussion part, if you're really active and you want to talk to people or you have queries that you want to ask people, go down to discussions and you can chat with people in like journal forms, maybe getting started with Kaggle, some product feedbacks or some Q&As as well. Saying that, you can also dive into some courses. I myself took some courses that were in data visualization, introduction to machine learning, pandas, intermediate machine learning, Python, and whatnot. So all these courses come in free and you can easily learn from them. So while we are at Kaggle, why not just go ahead and check one of the notebooks that I wrote, like a EDA session that was just the analysis of a dataset that was provided on Kaggle. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So this is a data set for US container ports. It is basically the number of ports that US have and the container mobility or the transportation of container, how it happened from year 2000 to 2017. So it's pretty old, but not that much. But it has lots of information for us. So it has in total of 20 columns. You have the US custom ports names, you have the coast names, you have the data yearly, so how much the containers got in and out of the ports in the year 2000 till year 2017. So you can always go ahead and just check them out, right? Apart from that, you can just understand it in much compact way. So if you really don't like those details, just compact it and you'll get the brief of it. Also, a much good brief is like columns. So you'll know if the numbers or the data is valid or something is missing, and most of all the unique values and the most common ones, right? For each and every column, right? So as we can see, for US custom ports, there are 63 custom ports that have been here in this data set, right? So let's go ahead and dive right into the notebook. You can see the notebook starts over here. First is just about the data set, that US Department of Transportation Maritime Administration, US waterborne foreign container trade by US custom ports 2000 to 2017. So imports are in metric tons only and loaded containers only. Next, now we know a bit about the dataset. Let's just go ahead and load it. So this code cell is already provided in the Kaggle notebook while you run it. So what it is just it provides you basic imports like NumPy and Pandas, both libraries required for linear algebra and data processing, as well as to load the data, the CSV files or whichever files are provided by the dataset provider. So you just go ahead and run it and you'll receive a path like this. This is just the path to your dataset. So while we know the dataset path, we can just go ahead and read the CSV file and pass in the file name. Once we have the name of the file, we go ahead and get the columns. So we know we have in total of 20 columns and we know the names of them as well. So what according to me is that I don't like the distance between the spaces in between the names. So like it's US customs ports, so there is space between US and customs. So I personally don't feel that it is good. Maybe an underscore would help. So I try to rename some of these and it is totally optional. It's up to you if you want to do it or not. Alright, so after I've done the renaming, I got something like this. Then to get the information, more information about the dataset, we have df.info and we get column names, number of non-null counts and the type of data type of the data. So these are all objects, right? Let's go ahead and describe the data. So when we describe the data frame, we get the maximum values, the unique values, the counts, as well as the top values and the frequency kind of things. Then df.head is just to explore first 5 values of the given data frame. So you can see for Aberdeen, coast is P, the containers in 2001, 2002, 3, 4 are 0, just enough in 2009, 29 just. Yeah. So we can see the frequency is quite low for the first one, right? So I personally like doing it this way is to first write down what we can explore in this data set. So maybe from the names of the columns, we can make out that what all things we can find. So we can find the busiest port in the United States over year and overall. Then we can find the port with least container traffic, like that is the least busiest port. Then we can find the coast that is most popular, which one. And finally, we can plot a time series chart to depict the increasing and decreasing rate of traffic over the ports in the years. Right. So let's just get the first one is df.max to get the maximum value for each column. So what we did was we got the maximum value for each column. Then you create a new data frame. This is completely optional. I did it because I created some new data that was the busy port data. So how many busy ports are there and which year which port was busy. So I created a new data frame for that. A tip here is that if you want to create a new data frame, don't create it directly. Instead, you create a new list and then append it to the data frame. It saves you more money, it saves you more memory and time, right? So I created two lists, year and busy port. Then this is the dictionary for the years only. And for I in range from 2000 till 2018, max value was to get the max value of the dictionary, right? The year max value. And if we get the yearly max value, say the max value for year 2000, then we find which port was the busiest in that given year, right? So according to that, we append the year and the busy port. And finally, when we print that out, the busiest port of year 2000 in US was New Orleans, LA. Then in 2001, it was Wilmington, etc. Right? So when we have found the port, we can find the coast as well. So for df for coast, max values, value counts head of 10 was A. So coast A was the busiest coast. Similar for the least busiest, we just take the minimum values and we just print the least traffic here. Then we go ahead and see df.one head for the dataset that are newly created. So I had busy port, I have vacant port, and I have the year. So as we already seen in the data frame, the head that we already had for df.head, we found that Aberdeen was the vacant port for almost like 4-5 years. So that is also seen over here. Now it's time for some visual data analysis, because what data without any visualization and what EDA without any visualization. So I just imported Seaborn as SNS. It's a library for making charts and graphs. Then we have matplotlib for plotting the charts. So df of US custom ports dot values dot head of 10. So I'm plotting the first 10 US custom ports like this. Right? Next is then I'm using SNS.set theme, that is dark theme for that, and I'm plotting a line plot for year and the busy port from df1, the newly created data frame for me. So I have the years, then I have the created busy ports. Then finally I have done the same thing for vacant ports and by year. So I have the years and I have the vacant ports as well. Then the reason. Also, you can figure out the reason for being like which of the following was the most busiest port. That was New Orleans. And why was it the most busiest one? Because it is actually a great grain port for the city. So it exports raw processed agricultural products, chemicals, fabricated metals, textiles, and whatnot. So it is necessary and it is quite obvious that this port is very busy and the container transportation would be very heavy on this. So that's it for this one. That is the end of my Kaggle notebook. I hope you like this video and you'll try to get into Kaggle and give it a shot and maybe explore some data, throw in some good data, maybe if you have a good data set as well. And yeah, reach out to me if you have any doubts or you need some guidance or mentorship. And give us a thumbs up and subscribe the tfugchd channel. Thank you.